Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode, what is this, Kelsey?
6.
Six.
It's been a
Episode
minute.
6. I know it has been a minute. We've kind of had
Mm-hmm.
a lot going on.
Yeah.
One thing we had going on was a trip to Breckenridge, Colorado.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we decided why not talk about that
Yeah.
today? Talk about taking the vacations,
Yep.
taking the trip.
Especially 36 hours beforehand.
36 hours before.
The
Okay,
last
so
episode, we talked about it. You had a chaotic week because your girls were just getting over sickness, and I had a chaotic week because I was trying to get ready for our trip. And that was on what, Monday? And then by Monday night at 6 o'clock,
we
y'all
did.
had.
We recorded on Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And then by that night,
And you talked about how stressful it is to get ready for a trip. And then talking about how stressed I was, but I had like weeks to prepare. You had
that
36
is,
hours.
and you know what? That's my new favorite way to go
Mhm.
on a trip. I told Brandon, I said, from now on, just tell me 36 hours before we're going
All
somewhere.
we need.
First off, you'll save money because you don't go shopping for your trip.
That's a good point.
You don't have time.
Yeah.
Yep. So I couldn't go buy a new sweater or a new anything to
Nope, there was no
wear on the
time for
trip.
that.
No new ski clothes. I had to borrow some pants from a
Yep.
friend, and then I had to pull out my ski coat from high school and wear it. But y'all, it was so much
With
fun. So,
the little CD pocket inside of it, the CD holder.
y'all, yes, like the old school CD player, and it had a little hole for the headphone cord to come out of, so you can wear your headphones
Yep. Oh
while
man, that was
skiing.
funny. That was so funny.
Hey, you know
Okay,
what?
so
It
this
worked.
was backstory. This was our 10-year anniversary trip. Um, and the joke that we had going was they rode, so we had some out of town guests at our wedding, but they were the only ones staying at the same hotel that Mikey and I were staying at that night. So when we left the wedding in our getaway car, Leah and Brandon got in and
We needed a
rode
ride.
in our getaway car to the hotel with us. And then we went back and we ate food and everything after
Yeah.
the wedding. It was so funny. So then when they got married, me and Mikey snuck in the trunk of their getaway car, and as they were headed down the driveway, like jumped up and surprised them. So it's just like a running joke. So Leah
Yeah.
jokingly was like, "Since we rode in your getaway car, I think we should crash your anniversary
Yeah,
trip."
it's only appropriate that we crash the 10-year anniversary trip. And don't you
Exactly.
worry,
We're
Mikey
crashing y'all's.
Roberge, if you listen to this, they will be crashing our anniversary
Yes.
trip come
Yes.
October. So both celebrating 10 years this year.
Absolutely.
So it's only fair
Mm-hmm.
that y'all crash ours, right,
I
Kelsey?
agree.
Mm-hmm.
I agree.
You
And
have to.
it was crazy that we've been friends for what, 15 years, 13, 14, 15, something like that years.
Yeah, yeah.
That's the first time we've traveled together.
Yeah, that is crazy.
Other than
We've
like our
done like
bachelorette trips and stuff,
bachelorette
but
trips or like a lake weekend. Like we talked
mm-hmm.
about that one lake
We're not gonna talk
weekend.
about that
Yeah,
weekend.
that funny story. Lots of stories with that one. There's a long time ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, we've never
Done like a legit
since
trip.
getting married, we've
Yeah.
never traveled together for sure. And
It
like
was
a
so
good
much
legit
fun.
trip like that. It was
Yeah.
a blast. We had so much fun.
And
But
it was
yeah, long
perfect.
story short, we joked about it. Kelsey texted our group text with the four of us on Monday and was like, there's still time or something like that. You
Yeah,
said
trying to convince Brandon.
and Mikey said, let's make this happen. So then I called Brandon. I was like, I mean, what do you think? And he was like kind of quiet all day.
Uh-huh.
Like, and then he got home from work and he's kind of like pacing. And I can just see his brain like spinning. And he finally just said, all right, let's look at flights, look at Airbnbs. We'd already looked at Airbnb.
We'd already looked at we
We
had it
already
all
had it planned.
planned.
We already had planned. I'd already looked at flights. And so we were able to get flights through our credit card points, which helped. And then my mom was already planning on watching the girls that weekend
Mm-hmm.
for my birthday. So then we just kind of added on a couple of days for my mother-in-law to help as well. And they were like, yes. My dad's words were like, go.
Your dad was
We
so
were talking about how
excited.
expensive it is to go skiing. It's not a cheap trip,
Uh-uh.
And he's like, you can't take it with you. So go,
Yeah.
have fun. My dad loves to ski. So he was on board. But that was the most spontaneous thing my husband has ever done, I
For
think.
sure. I think anybody, I mean, I don't
Yeah.
know that you've ever done anything that
True.
spontaneous.
True. Because the
That
joke
was,
is I've told my husband for what, 10 years, literally, I want to wake up one day and you say, pack your bag, we're going somewhere.
yeah.
Like, I want to do that. And he has always said, yeah, right. You would be freaking out if I said that. And I'm like, okay, maybe like the morning of. Yeah, no, that would
Yeah.
really stress me
Give
out.
me 36 hours.
That's all I need. Now I
That's
know.
it. Now we
Now I
know.
know. I think I
Now,
could do 24 hours. I think I could do it.
if kids are in the mix, I don't know.
No,
Maybe
that,
30, maybe those few extra hours.
yeah, true. Good point.
But anyway, so all that to say, like, we had so much fun. It was like such a last minute trip
Hmm.
for them, but it was just an all around great experience. But while we were there, we talked a lot about like kind of resetting and recharging and like the importance of that, especially as stay at home moms. One thing we talked about like while we were there was like the change in environment and routine and all that, like, which, we're big on. We preach about that. Like, we love a good routine, but as a stay at home mom, you're in the house a lot, especially when your kids are little. You're in the house a lot, and just like the toll that that can take on your mental health. And just how like a trip like that, which this one was like a bigger, more extravagant trip,
Mm,
doesn't always have to be that, but just like
no.
that little break, that little reset, whether it's, a girls' trip or you and your husband, or even with your kids, just like everybody kind of getting out of the day to day routine, resetting, recharging. And that doesn't mean just like laying on a beach somewhere. I mean, we were active the whole time. I
Which
mean,
I
we were
love.
skiing.
That's like
Yeah.
my favorite. Well, skiing
Hmm.
is by far my favorite
Yeah.
vacation to take. I love skiing and I love being active on vacation. But also, there's something good about going to like a resort in Mexico and just sitting there all
Hmm.
week. That's what Brandon says. Is like for our anniversaries, he's like, I kind of do want to go do something like that,
It's
and I
more of,
don't have to think about anything.
hmm, yeah,
Don't
which
think
makes
about
sense.
dinner reservations or. You already spend the money to go to an all-inclusive resort.
Done.
It's already
Yeah.
spent. You just go and chill.
Yeah.
So those
Exactly.
are really good too. Um, but also, like you said, it doesn't have to be extravagant. So before we decided to book the Breckenridge trip, we were just that weekend, we were celebrating my birthday. We were just going to go to Oxford for a night and
Hmm.
spend the night at a hotel, eat dinner somewhere different. Like it was nothing
Hmm.
crazy. But I was
Right.
still looking forward to that too, because it's a night away with Brandon.
Hmm.
So I think it's a mix of finding those
Yeah.
little times away with your husband or the times away with the kids
Yeah.
too. Like
Hmm.
all of our camping trips. I mean, those are always a blast.
And those are not anything crazy. Like, you've got
No.
we both have a toy hauler.
Mhm.
So it's not anything extravagant. It's a very simple trip, not super expensive. And that's what our kids love that. I mean, they're outside the whole time, and it's just a great change of pace, change of environment. And that's just something that I think we have both found like works wonders for
Mhm.
our mental health as a stay-at-home mom, working mom, whatever role you're in. But again, as always with this, we're coming from a stay-at-home mom perspective.
Yeah.
um, and so just from that day to day, like in the house, the task always staring at you, always
Even
feeling
working in the
behind.
home too, because
Yeah.
when you are at home, like I struggle so much with finding the time to get my work done and then like
Mhm.
cutting that off to do
Mhm.
my house stuff or like
Mhm.
mom stuff.
Yeah.
But when you get out of the house and you go somewhere like our camping trip this weekend, I can't do any of that. So it's just
Right.
fun just to sit there, be with my kids, let them play.
Mhm.
I sit there. I can't tell you how many times we go camping and I just sit there and I'm like, it is so nice to unplug.
Mhm.
That's the best way to unplug, in my
Yeah.
opinion, is
To
camping.
yeah, to go
It's like
camping
no
for
phones
sure.
allowed, no,
Well, and then your kids aren't begging for TV because it's not
yeah.
there. You know what I mean? It's good for everybody.
Mhm.
One of my favorite things about travel is I like watching Mikey unplug to the
Mhm.
best of his ability, the industry that
Yeah.
he's in, if the phone rings, sometimes he has to take it, but unplugging, relaxing, and just decompressing.
Mhm.
And then the dad that he gets to be when we're traveling with the kids because he
Mhm.
doesn't have the stress of work staring at him. And like this past trip, like the conversations that the four of us got to sit and have because
That's
Mikey and
fun.
Brandon weren't sitting there worrying about work and stressing about it.
And did they talk about work? Of course.
Well, yeah.
But it's still
And did they
different.
talk about the amount of money we were spending
Yeah.
on food
All day, every day.
every time we went to a restaurant? Yes, they did. But they had so much fun too. Like, we got
Mhm.
home, and or I guess it was when we were there, when we did our separate date nights that ended up at the same restaurant. Mikey and I were sitting there talking, and I was like, what, just talking about the last 10 years and everything. And one of the questions I asked him was like, what is your favorite trip we've ever taken? And he was like, honestly, probably this one. Like, he
Oh,
loved it. I mean, it was drama free. It
yep.
was, you know what I mean? It was
No,
just,
we had the 4 of us travel really well together,
yeah.
so it's like,
Hmm.
"Okay, when are we doing it again?" "Oh, yeah, October." That's
October.
fine.
And Brandon is not allowed to make any jokes about delayed planes when we're on our way to Mexico. Okay.
Y'all, we're sitting on our plane, and it had not been delayed yet. We boarded the plane, we're
No.
about to leave Memphis, and he texts the group, a little prematurely, texts the group saying, "Well, we're delayed, we won't be there till" what did he say? Something about being there, like, tonight, like
2:30 or
yeah,
something.
like,
Yeah.
way late,
Or maybe
and
6:30 or something.
yeah, something like that, and
Mhm.
then, no lie, it was, like, 2 minutes later, they come over the speaker in the airplane like, "Oh, we have some maintenance issues, so it's gonna be a little delay." They change our departing time, like, 20 minutes later, so we're sitting there, and long story short, we had to deboard, get off the plane. I think we were, like ended up being, like, a 2-hour delay,
Yeah.
maybe?
I think y'all, because we were supposed to get there within like 15 minutes of each other.
Yeah.
And
It
then
was
it ended
like,
up
y'all, it
being
was
about,
working out
yeah.
perfectly. Everything
Mhm.
worked out so smoothly and so perfectly, and then we're like,
Until
"Wait,
Brandon sent
why is
that
this
text.
happening?" And it still kinda ended up working out okay because
Yeah.
it took a while to get the car and all of that,
Mhm.
which unfortunately we just couldn't help y'all because we were stuck on a plane.
Yeah.
Um, but it ended up working out okay. But y'all,
Yeah.
flying right now is a mess. Like the
Yeah.
delays and the ugh,
Mhm.
it's so bad, but it was
But
all
worth
worth
it.
it.
It's worth it.
It was all worth it, and it was a
Yeah.
nonstop flight, which worked. We didn't have to worry about getting our second flight to get there, so we
Mhm.
just knew as long as that they got that plane fixed and we could leave
Yeah.
that day, and we ran into some random friends that were on the same plane
Oh,
as
yeah, I
us,
forgot
so
about
we
that.
sat and
Yeah.
talked to them the whole time.
Mhm.
Small world, but
And then while we were waiting for y'all, we went and found a local little coffee shop in Denver and
yeah.
like sat and had some coffee. And so that was,
Mhm.
it worked out great. It was perfect.
Yeah, and that
So,
was just so if you're considering taking the trip, and we understand, like, trips are expensive, right? I mean,
mhm.
you're gonna spend more money going somewhere than you would at home, bottom line.
Right.
But sometimes it is just worth it to try to make that
Mhm.
work, and go for it because the memories you make, the
Yep.
fun that you have, especially like I look forward to my kids getting a little older. I always talk about like my nieces that are 9 and 11. I'm like, they are such fun ages to take because I
Mhm.
picture when my girls are 9 and 11 or
Yeah.
even younger than that, but we get to like really start taking them more places where they
Mhm.
actually remember it and like
Yeah.
have fun and we're not worried about diapers or pull-ups or any of that stuff on a trip.
Yeah.
Like I just look forward to that. When I look back on my childhood, I was so me and my mom had this conversation last week. I said, now I understand what y'all did to get us on those ski trips when I was in high school. Those were the funnest trip. When I look back,
Mm.
that was the highlight of like my high school was the spring break
Absolutely. Yeah.
ski trips we went on with a few other families that all had
Mhm.
kids my age. But I'm like, surely dad was like penny pinching for those trips. Mom's
Yeah,
like,
I'm
yes,
sure.
he was
Yeah.
stressed on those trips, but
Yeah.
he was going to
It
do
was
what he
worth
could
it. Yeah.
to make it work and to go. And I was
Mhm.
just like, I'm so grateful that he did because that was amazing. So hopefully we can do that for our kids.
I think that's, and like that's something
Ugh,
that's like super important for Mikey and I is like experiences like that with our kids. Our kids are
y'all
are
are really
getting to
good at
the
that.
age. Yeah, they're getting to the age where okay, I want to cut back on the presents they get for Christmases and
Hmm.
birthdays and things like
They
that.
don't
And
need all that
they
anyway.
don't and do more of like the experiences. I mean, we took our kids to Mexico when they were 2 and 5.
Yeah, my
And to
kids.
this day, they're 5 and 7, and they still talk about our Mexico trip.
Yeah,
Like they had, I guess they were 2 and 4. Yeah, 2 and 4.
yeah,
But they still to this day talk about that.
hmm,
Like, because they had so much fun. We took them to Utah last summer
yeah,
and they absolutely loved it. And just like I grew up going to Panama City and Gatlinburg and
uh-huh, same.
but I still
Yeah.
look back at that stuff and I still have the memories of those trips and I
Hmm.
absolutely love them.
Hmm.
I just want to give it to my kids in in a little bit of a different way and let them see other parts of this country that I've never even seen.
I know. That's what
You know,
Brandon
I
always
want
says.
or
He's
different
like,
parts of
there's
the
so
world, I
many
guess.
places
Mhm.
here that we haven't seen.
Yeah.
But sometimes it is just easy to like go to Mexico or,
Mhm. Yeah.
go to like an all inclusive and
Mhm.
you don't have to plan anything out or worry
Yeah.
about that. But yeah.
But yeah, again, so with all this to say, like, yes, traveling is expensive, but there's also ways to make it affordable. There's ways to find deals. There's ways to even do something locally. You know, maybe you're something as simple as like a staycation at home and you're setting up a blow up mattress in your living room and just getting out of like your normal routine.
Changing up the
Just
routine, yeah.
changing up the routine and kind of focusing on that time together as a
Mhm.
couple, as a family, or whatever it may be. And
Go eat at a new restaurant, like,
yeah, go do
just
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
instead of getting in bed and
Put
watching a
it
movie,
put a
like,
tent in the backyard. I
yeah.
will never forget my grandparents had property in Madison growing up, and we put up tents in the backyard to camp in. My aunt, my uncle, my cousins, my parents, me and my sister. And we put up tents one night. My grandfather cut the field down, and that was what we did one night. And to this day remember it. I remember it because I can't stand the smell of freshly cut grass. So in the middle of the night, I woke up like gagging, and my dad had to take
Uh,
me into my grandparents' house. But it was so much fun. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
I think it's definitely
Those
like
little
you could.
memories, especially for them, and
Mhm.
it's so easy to get stuck on. It's a typical Friday or Saturday night, and you do the same old thing.
Yeah.
You're in your house, we're typically running around outside with neighbors or something, but for those kids, like, something that simple.
Hmm.
Like, I still remember when I got a trampoline for my birthday, I think it was. It wasn't Christmas, that would've been too cold. It was my birthday, I got a trampoline in our old house with a carport, and the trampoline was under the carport. I don't know if it was raining or what. I slept on the trampoline that night. I had my sleeping bag, slept on the trampoline that night with my pillow, and I remember that to
Just
this
something
day.
different. Yeah.
Like, the most
Make
random
those
thing. I'm like, "Make your
memories.
trampoline a tent and go sleep up
Yeah.
there,"
Yeah. Yeah. So whether it is something extravagant or it's something as simple as sleeping in a sleeping bag on your trampoline with your kids, like I just think
You might be
that break,
miserably tired the next day, but that's
you
okay.
might be, but I just think that break in routine is just huge for
Mhm.
mental health and,
Yep.
you know, making those memories and resetting, refocusing, all that. I've said that 100 times on this, but that's what travel is
Mm.
to me. It's making those memories, it's resetting, refocusing, and then coming back a better in a better mental health and just a better attitude.
Reconnected, whether
Yeah.
it's with your husband, your friends, even if it's a girls'
Mhm.
trip, like, you're reconnected with yourself and your friends
Yeah.
or your husband or your
Mhm.
kids, whoever you're with on the trip.
I mean, you
Um,
just did one night in Birmingham with two of
One night
your
and it was
lifelong
amazing.
friends.
Yeah, 2
Yeah.
of my childhood friends for it was one of our friends' birthdays. We all just
Mhm.
turned 35 all within a couple weeks of each other. So much fun to just be together for
Mhm.
literally, I don't even think
20,
I was
not even
there
24
18 hours.
hours. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it was not long at all, but it's refreshing. You get to
Yeah.
reconnect with those friends that we don't ever get to see each other in person often.
Yeah.
And you just, again, you reconnect with yourself and who
Mhm.
you are outside of that mom that's in your house all the
Yeah.
time, or picking up
Mhm.
kids, or shuffling kids, or picking up groceries, or all the things. Just
Just
get out of the
the
norm every now and
yeah.
then.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
I think the Breckenridge trip definitely did that for me. Like today, I'm like, I've got all its clothes to pack and get this camper ready. And then feel that feeling of overwhelm or stress. And I'm like, It's going to be worth it." Like,
Absolutely. Yeah.
it's okay."
And you're reset and refreshed from that Breckenridge trip. So
Mhm.
now, like, yeah, you're feeling a sense of overwhelm, but it's a little bit easier to navigate that because you're recharged
Yeah.
and you're, kind of just ready to go.
Yeah, exactly. And it's fine.
Mhm.
I look forward, I told Kelsey this morning, I look forward to like next week being home all week without going
Yeah.
anywhere. But at the same time, my girls, Lakin has asked me for the last 5 nights, how many more sleeps till we go camping? I
Isn't
mean,
that the
they love
best?
it. Yeah, they
Mhm.
love it so
Yeah.
much. So
Yeah.
they'll be playing in the mud tomorrow.
It'll be so much fun. So
Yeah.
much fun.
But
So,
anyways, we hope this was fun. Just a little
yep.
chat about taking the trip, take the vacation, plan something if you haven't already for this summer. Again, doesn't matter what it is, do something different.
What's the thing that they say? And we don't do this well, but one date night a week, one like get away a month with your spouse, and then like one or two big vacations a year or something.
Something like
They
that.
say
Yeah.
something like that. I don't know the exact. We're not great about like the date night every month, but we are good about weekends away and
Mhm.
trips.
Yeah, y'all
And
are. Yeah.
but that's with our kids too. Like we
Yeah.
love to get away. Like we've got a camping trip in 2 weeks.
Y'all are
You
good at
know?
doing a mix of it too, like your and
Mm-hmm.
Mikey's trips and your kids' trips,
Yeah.
because I think both are
Yeah.
important. And if you
Mm-hmm.
can't do that many trips, that's fine. Like, just do a date night,
Do a date night. Yeah. Do
without
something.
the kids, or a date night with your kids, like you and one of your kids, or your husband and
Mm-hmm.
one of your kids, things like that, mix it
Yeah.
up.
Just switch things up a little bit. So from the girls that preach
Bible.
routine, now we're preaching to
Yeah,
change it up a
get
little
out
bit.
of your routine.
But it's a good balance. And I think in a couple of episodes, we're actually talking about like balance and everything. And I think that's with everything in life, including
Mhm,
your routine, like balancing that out a little bit is, I mean, it's great.
mhm.
We all need it.
Best of both worlds for sure.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
okay, well, fun. All right, so if you are listening, maybe comment under this video and
Yeah.
tell us what trips you have planned for the year.
Yeah.
That would
Or
be
tell it
fun.
that
We'll
or
have
some
to
of your
ask on
favorite trips.
Instagram and see what some people's
Hmm.
favorite trips are.
Yeah. That's a
Maybe
good
we
one.
can
What's your favorite trip?
skiing.
At
I mean,
what, like what place?
overall,
I
skiing.
think we agree on where.
Yeah, Big Sky, Montana
Big
is
Sky.
probably my favorite ski place. I
For
don't know, I
the
really liked
skiing,
Breckenridge.
I liked.
Breckenridge was really good, and I loved
Mhm.
having Main Street right there with
Yeah.
everything, y'all. So many
We
restaurants
walked
and
everywhere.
shops and places, like, all right there. Tattoo parlors. I got a
Oh yeah, I
tattoo
forgot.
over there. So I
She
mean,
comes home with a tattoo. I come home with a sweatshirt. You know,
you would have done it if
I
you would
would
have
have if I
had.
had my dad's handwriting.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
that's my
which we need to do
tattoo.
that. We need to
Yeah.
figure out. We need to do that.
Mhm.
I'll come to
Yep.
Nashville.
There we go.
Um, but anyways, yeah, probably Big Sky.
Yeah, I think Big Sky's my favorite, like skiing, but I loved like the feel of Breckenridge
I love the Philip
for sure.
Breckenridge. Now for like a Caribbean trip, I haven't done many. I've only been to 2 different resorts, but we did Secrets Ocumall this past June with a group of friends. I don't see how you could beat it. Honestly, it
Yeah,
was so good. Like we're considering going back there in October for our anniversary
just tell
trip.
me when.
I know, because it was just so good. Every time I look at other resorts, it's hard
Hmm.
for me to not just say, "Well, this one was better," you know? And
Yeah.
it was not a
Hmm.
bad price. Like it was a great resort. It's newer, it was so clean. Anyways, it was really good. So,
I'd say Caribbean, my favorite so far has been Aruba. Obsessed with
yeah,
Aruba.
yeah.
Beautiful.
Never been there.
Yep, ready.
And
That was just a me and Mikey trip. So now I'm ready to take my kids there.
yeah. Oh, that'd be good.
Hmm.
That would
So
be good.
so yeah, comment, let us know.
Yeah.
Hopefully
Yeah.
y'all enjoyed this one. This is a little bit of why we've been MIA for the past couple weeks because we took
Yeah.
a week off and then that, kind of got to get
Had to
back in the
catch
groove of
up.
it.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So,
So,
all right. Well, we'll chat later. Bye,
all
y'all.
right, bye.